Hey guys, Sean here at the Gardener Center. So a few weeks back I talked to you all about being more responsible in the way we maintain our lawns. So this week is kind of a little bit of a follow-up to that video. This week I'm going to talk specifically about grass seed. We sell most of the grass seed we sell here at the Gardener Center. We sell in the months of March and April, which are, quite frankly, probably two of the worst months of the year to put new grass seed down. The best window of opportunity is actually a 2-week little window that actually begins today. So I'm going to get into why the next 2 weeks is the best window of opportunity to reseed your lawn, whether you're doing a major renovation or just patching. And then I'm going to tell you how to be as successful as you possibly can be when you do it, so stay tuned. All right, guys, so grass seed is one of the very first things that our phone starts ringing about in the springtime every March. You know, usually after we get a couple of those days to get close to 60 degrees, you know, when the snow melts and it's finally, we get those first couple of days where it actually feels like it could be spring. That's when the phone usually starts ringing for grass seed. You know, it's the time of year people think is best to put down grass seed, and it's natural to associate seeds with the springtime. But in all honesty, March and April are actually two terrible months to put grass seed down on your lawn for a number of different reasons. And right now, you know, the last week of August, first week of September, remember Labor Day weekend, is actually the best time of the whole year to put grass seed down. And I'm going to go over why that is, because there's several different reasons why it's so much better to do it now. The main thing is it has to do with soil temperature. Grass seed doesn't care too much about the air temperature. For grass seed to germinate, it's really all about the soil temperature. Grass seed needs the soil temperature to be at least 55 degrees for that germination to happen. And 55 degree soil temperature is something you have to wait a long time for in the springtime, because think about it, we're coming out of a 4 to 5 month period of winter where the soil's been frozen, it's been under snow, cloudy days. You know, it takes more than a couple of 70-degree days to warm the spring soil temperature up to 55 degrees. So a lot of people put grass seed down in the end of March, beginning of April, and you may water your grass seed every day for 3 weeks and not see anything yet. And trust me, I know this happens because we get calls all spring from people saying, hey, I put my grass seed down 3 weeks ago and it's not growing yet. And that's because the soil's still too cold, and no amount of water or coddling is going to encourage it along. It has to do with that soil temperature. So what's so brilliant about right now is the soil temperature is as warm as it will get this year right now. The last week of August, first week of September. So our soil temperature is probably in the 70s right now. So that's the difference between your grass seed germinating in 3 weeks and your grass seed quite possibly germinating in 5 days. And I mean, think about it. Would you rather spend every day watering your grass seed for a month, or would you rather spend maybe just do it for a week and a half or 2 weeks? I mean, there's a huge difference there. So right now, number one, soil temperature is the main reason now is great. But there's a couple other things going on now too. Number two, our nighttime temperatures are getting lower. And when that happens is our daytime temperatures, of course, are still warm, but the night temperatures are getting a little lower, and that gives us that heavy condensation and that dew, you know, the kind that's on your windshield in the morning and you have to put the wipers on even though it didn't rain. That's like free bonus watering every single night when you put grass seed down. So if you don't have time to get out and water the grass seed in the morning, that's kind of like a freebie right there. That's a little bit of a hack, because the grass seed loves to be wet like that. So that's going on. The third thing that's huge, and a lot of people don't realize, is when you do lawn renovations in the spring, which involves disturbing the soil, which I'm going to be talking about in a minute, not only are you creating good conditions for your grass seed to grow, but you are also digging up and disturbing soil that's creating an ideal situation for weeds to grow. And weeds, by design, are programmed to grow in the springtime. Weeds are not programmed to grow in the fall. So when you start putting topsoil down in the fall, or you start loosening up your soil to put your grass seed down, your weed potential is drastically reduced. I mean, in the springtime, you're inviting every single weed in the neighborhood to grow as you're trying to grow grass seed. But in the fall, they just don't want to, because it's not in their genetics, and it's not the right time of year for them to grow. So that's another great reason why you want to do grass seed in the fall as opposed to the spring. So now that we got the gist of why it's such a great time to do it, I'm going to come right back and give you some tips on how to do it correctly so that you can be as successful as possible. So stick around. So a couple things, just going to go over some basic stuff about different types of grass seed. I think everyone at some point has probably bought a bag of grass seed in their life. It's not rocket science. There's a couple of simple things you need to know. One of the things I love to let people know is, obviously, there's choices for sun, there's choices for shade, there's choices for areas of heavy traffic. This guy is bred specifically because it has a very deep root system, and it's very drought tolerant. So there's different grasses for different situations. You know, a lot of people come in and choose grass seed just based on their light conditions, which is fine. Something you should know about that, though, is sunny grass seed. Anything that's called sunny or sunny mix or full sun mix, that grass will not grow in the shade. Grass seed is expensive. Don't try to grow sunny grass in the shade. Even if it means you have to buy, if you have sun and shade in your yard and you have to buy two different kinds, maybe a bigger bag for the sunny areas and a little bag for the shady, don't try to put the sunny mix everywhere, because it will fail in the shade. That being said, the shady grass will grow in the sun. So you can go either way with the shade blend, but the sun grass has no tolerance for the shade. But the shade blend has no problem at all with the sun. So that's just, a little something to know as you're making your selections. There's also special blends here, like this one. I love to, when I'm talking to people about grass seed, after we talk about the light conditions, I often ask people about the use of the lawn and the use in specific areas of the lawn. So this is a blend that has a lot of hard fescues in it, which are really tolerant of foot traffic. So this is a specific grass seed that would be great if you have an area where your dogs run around every time you let them out, or if there's a place where you walk back and forth across the lawn going to the driveway or the garage, if the kids don't like to stay on the walkway, the kind of areas I'm talking about. Anything for heavy traffic is perfect for that situation. So different uses, but you want to grow them all the same way. And we talked about the importance of the soil temperature. So that's critical, but even more so, and if not even slightly more important, is the soil preparation. Grass seed will not grow on hard soil. The soil has to be disturbed, it has to be loosened. It's all about the seed to soil contact. It's absolutely critical. The grass seed, when it germinates, the little roots come right out, and they're very vulnerable to drying out at that point. So those roots, once they bust out of the seed wall, they have to get quickly into the soil, or they're gonna perish. And if they don't make it the first time, there's no second time. The seed just dies, and then hopefully the other ones will come up. But the soil must be loose. It doesn't mean you have to rent a rototiller and dig it down, 12 inches, but the top of the soil has to be loose enough for those roots to get into. You could accomplish this a couple of different ways. One of my favorite techniques is to just take a rake like you rake your lawn with, and rake your leaves with, and just rake the areas where you're going to be grass seeding vigorously, to the point where you're kind of pulling out the thatch and like scratching up the soil so that it's not rock hard. Another technique, if you're doing small patches or if you're redoing a larger area, is to put topsoil down, you know, fresh topsoil, but you're only putting down maybe 1/4 to 1/2 inch. You know, it's just enough to let those roots get into a safe place as soon as they germinate. Guys, over the years that I've been working in the garden center, have taken home countless bags of ripped grass seed and grass seed that was past its expiration date, and I just thought I was just going to go home and throw grass seed all over it, and it would just grow, and it doesn't. Trust me, I've tried every kind at every time of year. It will not grow on hard soil. You have to put that little bit of work into it. And after you have your soil loosened and you got your soil, the seed to soil contact figured out there, that's where the watering becomes critical. Like I said, that you have to keep the seeds moist at all times, from the time you put it down till the time it germinates. And then after it germinates, it also must be kept moist at all times for about the next 2 weeks. It's very vulnerable to drying out, especially that first week after you first start seeing that green haze from your grass seed. It must be kept watered. That nightly dew that we talked about in the fall, it helps a lot. So maybe you could skip the morning watering if we get a heavy dew at night, and just make sure you hit them in the evening very well. But for those 2 weeks, that grass seed must be kept moist at all times. I hope I've encouraged you guys to give the fall a try for grass seed. I know a lot of people tend to want to do it in the springtime, but trust me, guys, it is so much better to do now. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.